All right. Chapter 20 of Tehillim. Consider. Everybody ready? Lam Natseya, his mother David, Yancha Adonai Tzara. Some should answer you on the day of your distress. V'sagev Hashem Elohei Yankiv, the name, very name of the God of Jacob should give you support. Yishlach Ezo HaMikodesh, Umitzion Yisadeka, from Jerusalem should come help and support. Yizkar Kol, this inspiration. Yizkar Kol Mikrisecha. You should recall all your offerings, your devotions, your burnt offerings, your Dashna Selah, and they should be accepted favorably. Hashem should grant all your heart's requests. Your mother and your good decisions you should be able to fulfill. Let us rejoice in your salvation. Hashem Eloheinu Nidgel, and we're going to raise the banner of Hashem on high. Umole Kol Mishalei Secha, Yemole, he should fulfill all your heart's requests. Ata Yodaiti, now I know. Ki Hishia Adonai Mashiach, Hashem saves his anointed one, leader, king. Yanehu Mishmei Kodshe, answering him from his holy heavens. Gevures, with might, Yesha, salvation, Yamine, from his right hand. Ele Berechav, Ele Besusim, our enemies come with chariots, with armed vehicles, with cavalry, with horses, drones, missiles. We come with the name of God on our lips. Hema Karuv and Afolu, they stumbled and fell. We have outlasted all of them. Every nation has done their worst, and we're still here. Adonai Hishamel Chalenu V'im Karenu. Hashem, deliver us. Answer us on the day we call. Tanya, chapter 1. So, what we've been emphasizing, very, very important idea. I remember when I first heard it, that the Torah encompasses the whole of our life, every detail. It's not that you have a life and sometimes you set aside for Hashem. Every detail is covered. So the explanation of this is what the Rebbe says. It's an all-embracing world outlook and way of life, not just an outlook. Outlook is his thought. It's a way of life, that's action. Okay. So now what we're getting into now is a handbook. The Rebbe writes here in the introduction that he wrote that since he doesn't have time to speak to everybody privately, he's collected all the questions that people ask, their favorite questions, and he's put in here all the answers. And the Hasidim take this very seriously, that all the answers to all your questions are to be found in this book. Here we go. Page 1. The title page. Sefer Likutei Amarim, as we said yesterday, a collection of teachings. This is part 1. There are 5 parts, just like there are 5 books of the Torah. There are 5 parts. There are 5 books also of Tehillim. Each one reflects the other. And it is called the Sefer Shel Beinanim. What is a Beinani? We're going to have to find out. That's step number 1, is to pin down this term of Beinani. What is a Beinani? Melukot, it's gathering of teachings and ideas, mipi svarim, which the author has gleaned from books, from holy books, from writings of great people, mipi seifrim, and from authors, kadeshe elyon, in other words, great tzaddikim. He's bringing together here the teachings of great tzaddikim from throughout the ages. And he's taking us by the hand into their classroom. So that in itself is amazing. Nishmos Maiden, their souls are in heaven. Miyusad al Pasuk, and the whole thing is based on one verse of the Torah, which we just read, last week's parsha. Kikore ve'lecha adavar moed. The thing is very near to you. It's in your mouth, it's in your heart to do it. Meaning that covers speech and thoughts, feelings, and actions. So these are the 3 pillars we're going to learn later on. These are called the garments of the soul. Just like you choose your garments that you're going to wear, and you're very careful about which ones you wear and which ones you don't wear. So similarly, we're learning now about the neshama that makes a person special. Neshama also needs garments. And the garments of the soul are what you think and what you say and what you do. When I was in grade school, we had a teacher. We had to write a character synopsis. You read a book and you have to write about the characters in the book. How do you write? How are you supposed to know how do you do that? So the teacher taught us. It's simple stuff. Write down, what did they do? That tells us who they are. What did they say? That tells us who they are. Now you have to figure out, are they being honest? Are they being dishonest? What do they think? You don't know what they think unless the author himself lets you in and tells you what he thought. How strange. But these are the garments of the soul. Obviously, we want to choose good garments, holy garments. So when a person does something that the Torah says don't do it, so he is enclothing himself or herself in filthy garments. And we take these garments with us, and righteous people can perceive them. We say to little children in Cheder, better be telling the truth because I can see on your forehead if it's true or not. Telling a lie, not telling the truth, I can see on your forehead. And it's true. The things that you do, they come out, they make an impression on your face. And you know, a kindly person has a kindly face. And a cruel person has a cruel face. And a selfish person has a selfish face. You want to see examples? Next time you go to the drugstore, just say they have whole magazines by the checkout counter. Just look at the faces of the people on the covers of the magazines. You see what kind of people they are. Now, this passage comes in the Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu is bidding farewell. These are his last words to the Jewish people. And he's telling them, exhorting them over and over again about the importance of all these teachings that he's teaching us and how we should apply ourselves to them and concentrate on them. Kiheim chayechem, because they are your very life. Ubehem, and with these words, ta'arichu, Yomim al ha'adama, you will be able to enjoy long years of life in the land that you're going over the Jordan River to take possession of it. These words are the key. But you say, but Rabbi, it's too hard for me. So therefore Moshe answers it. And he says, no, it's not too hard for you. It's very near to you. It's very near to you. And when the Rebbe, at one amazing point, taught 6 Torah thoughts to children at a children's rally. 2 thoughts were from the written Torah, 2 thoughts were teachings from the sages, and 2 thoughts were from Hasidus, from Tanya. And then the next week he did it again. So we got 6. 4 thoughts from the written Torah, 4 thoughts from the Talmud, and 4 thoughts from the Tanya. Well, one of these 4 thoughts, one of the ascent, if a person knows these 12 concepts and understands them, and there's little booklets, I'll get booklets for you, understands them, you have the answers to just about every question you're ever going to have. Take your question, learn these 12 Torah passages. The Rebbe took the whole Torah and put it into 12 Torah passages. They used to say, some of the colleagues of the Alter Rebbe used to say, how did the Rebbe take such a big God and put him in such a small book? Put in your pocket. Well, the Rebbe did it again. He took the whole Torah and put it into these 12 passages, covering 3 areas of the Torah: the written Torah, the oral Torah, the Talmud, and the teachings, the soul of the Torah, which Hasidus. And one of these is this was chosen actually as the basis of this whole book of the Tanya. The thing is very near to you. So it says in the Torah, don't say it's something, I wasn't brought up like that. So don't say I wasn't brought up like that. Don't say, you don't have to go to India, and you don't have to go to the Himalayas to find out what it is. Because if that was the case, we would have to send people to get it and bring it back. And there was a period, we spoke about it yesterday, when the 2nd and 3rd generation of immigrants, Jewish immigrants to America, who had left Europe, left the persecutions and the limitations of life in Europe, they came to America, and they got to the 3rd generation. Children were now affluent, they had money, and they had education, they went to college, but they still felt something was missing, so they went looking for it. They went overseas, like it says in the Torah. You don't have to go overseas to find it. They went. baby in it. And she took the baby out of the river and adopted him as her child. His soul came down bearing these secrets. And that was on the 7th day of Sivan, the day that the Torah was given eventually. It's all very, very amazing. They all had problems having children. So Sarah gave her maid as a concubine to Abraham that he could have a child. And he did. And the child was Ishmael, father of the Arab nations. So you don't have to go to the Far East. Sarah hoped that the pain that she would endure by giving away her, her maid to be with her husband would give her the merit for enduring this, would give her the merit to have a child. And it did. She, at the age of 90, she gave birth to Yitzchak. So it says there in the Torah, don't think it's far away overseas. It's not overseas. If it's overseas, you would have to send someone to get it and bring it back. Don't think it's in heaven. It's only for holy people who are the whole time their minds and their hearts are in heavenly things, and not for us ordinary earthly beings. No, don't think that either, says Moshe Rabbeinu, because if that was the case, we would have to take ladders and send people up to heaven to get it and bring it back. The Torah has to be down here in this physical world. That's what Hashem wants. And if a person wants to dedicate himself to meditation, that's not normal. And that's not the divine intention. The life of a monk is not for us. It's not what Hashem wants. Hashem created a physical world that we should make the physical world a place where God is found. And how do we do that? Through our thoughts, our words, our actions. And these need to be the fuel for these things is what's in this book. So it's very near to you. It's in your heart, in your mouth, and in your actions. And he's going to explain it very clearly. Levayer heitev, and he's going to explain. Levayer means to explain. Levayer heitev. Now I did this with you already. If we take the letters of the word heitev, which means very, very well, and he's quoting Moshe Rabbeinu he's quoting Moshe Rabbeinu with that word, because Moshe Rabbeinu begins his last teaching to the Jewish people in the last month of his life, last 5 weeks of his life. He reviewed the whole Torah. That's called the book of Devarim, Deuteronomy. Deuter means, it's Greek for what? Deuter means two, right? So Deuteronomy is it's called in Hebrew Mishnah Torah, which means that Mishnah is the same thing. Mishnah means a repetition. So when Moshe was teaching this last teaching, reviewing all the laws of the Torah one last time, he says that he's going to explain all these laws, heitev, use the same word. And here he uses it again. Alter Rebbe takes that word. He's going to explain heitev, how we can live this kind of a life. And he's going to explain it clearly. And we did last week. But if you take the letters heitev, hey, yud, tes, base, you see it there? It's the last word in the fourth from the end, line fourth from the bottom, on page 1 in Hebrew. You take those letters and their numerical value, 1, and then go back and do them 2, and go back and do 3 letters, and then go back and do all 4 letters, add them all up, it's going to come to 70. Because there were 70 languages. so that a person cannot say, well, I didn't have access. So therefore, the Torah was given in a manner that everybody can have access to it, no matter what language they speak. And the previous Rebbe emphasized that the Torah should be translated, especially the Tanya should be translated into many, many languages. And the Rebbe added to that it should be printed in many places. And he sent boys with printing presses, portable printing presses and generators to print the Tanya everywhere, everywhere. This class almost up. I have a great story, but not for now. Well, Isaac the Jew. So that's the idea of the word Heitev. Heitev means in 70 languages. When the Jews went into Eretz Yisrael, before they crossed the Jordan River, Hashem commanded them, that's when Moshe commanded them, to take 12 huge stones and to write the whole Torah on these stones. And there are two reasons given in the Gemara about the Sota, the woman suspected of infidelity, that these stones were then covered with plaster, that the Torah shouldn't become cheap, but that it's available. If a person is going to seek, he will find it there in those stones. So they wrote the whole Torah down in 70 languages. And we want to find out, this book is going to explain to us the last three Hebrew lines. How is this very near to us? Now, those of you who learned Tanya in a Chabad house with your Chabad Jewish studies program, whatever you did, you probably came up against this idea. Can anybody tell me what it means? What does it mean, a long, short way? There's a whole book by Adin Steinsaltz, all over Shalom, who just passed away just a few years ago. He called it the long, short way. Hasidus is a long, short way. Okay, Morai, but say in a big voice so everyone can hear you.
I believe that it means there is a way that you can get to the Torah acquisition and to learn about Hashem. It's going to take a lot of time.
Yeah.
But it will take you shorter than if you do it the short, long way. Which might be, you seem like you're learning a lot, you're cutting corners, but perhaps at the very end, you actually haven't learned, so you go back and start it all over again.
Absolutely right. To put it in a nutshell, there's no shortcuts. There's no shortcuts. The story, the phrase is taken from the Talmud, and it tells a story. Very often the stories in the Talmud are repositories of hidden wisdom. Hasidic teachings is built very, very much on the stories in the Talmud. Now let's remember, the Talmud is not a teaching of the sages. It's a transmission by the sages of the oral Torah given at Mount Sinai. So the oral Torah has two aspects to it. We'll come back to that tomorrow. One is Mishnah, which is the teaching of the laws. Without the Mishnah, we don't know what to do. The do's and don'ts. That's in the Mishnah. What is Mishnah? Mishnah are, I call them knowledge nuggets. Short paragraphs loaded with information. Every word is conveying more information. Every word is carefully weighed. And they are completely authoritative. You can't argue with a Mishnah. You can only try to explain it. And if you have a different Mishnah that says something that seems to contradict, well, that's a lot of the work of the Talmud, is to straighten out these contradictions, to find out how they're both correct. Is one talking about a case that's slightly different from the other? So Mishnah is the do's and don'ts. And then we've got the stories. And the stories are full of mystical, hidden wisdom. So the story is that a person wanted to go to Jerusalem, and he saw some children playing. He didn't know which way to go. So they said, well, do you want to go the long way or the short way? So he said, I'll go the short way, obviously. He said, well, the short way is down there. So he went down there, and he was making good time. But then all of a sudden, the path became very rocky and overgrown with thorny bushes and steep, and he fell and he tripped and he fell down the hill. His clothes got dirty and ripped and torn, and then he came to a river. He couldn't proceed. He had to climb back up. There, these kids still play. So I thought you said this was a short way. So no, we said it's a long way. It's a short way as the crow flies, like they say, the shortest distance. But it's a long way because you can't get there that way. So what's the long short way? The long short that goes all the way around. It's a nice smooth road, but in the end you're going to get there. That's the source of that story, and that's what he says here. In a long short way, Be'ezras Hashem, with the help of Hashem, should be blessed. Page 5. On page 5, we have an approbation. What is an approbation? When a person writes a holy book and he wants people to buy it, they say, why should I? Is this guy for real? Maybe he's a fraud. Maybe he's going to take me on a long, short way. I'm not going to be able to get there. So the author will take this book to famous authorities who are renowned as God-fearing people, and they will look it over and they will give their okay, their stamp of approval. The word for approbation means approval. So this book is approved by, on page 5, Rabbi Meshulam Zusha of Anipol. That's a name I want you to see. He was a colleague of the Alter Rebbe, very interesting personality. One of the group of great tzaddikim who were the students of the great Maggid. Who was the great Maggid? The great Maggid, his name was Dov Ber, Rabbi Dov Ber of Mezrich. He was slightly crippled. I think he had problems with his feet. But he was a great, unbelievable Torah scholar. And the Baal Shem Tov drew him to him in mystical ways that he should come on his own. And he became the leading student of the teaching of the Baal Shem Tov. And when the Baal Shem Tov could no longer teach because he wasn't here, so the Maggid became his successor. And he had a group of students, all of whom became Rebbeim. They all became Rebbes, leaders, each in different areas of Europe, Russia and Ukraine and Poland. These are different Rebbish dynasties. Now, Reb Zusha was the least of all of them. As a child, he was a blockhead. He couldn't learn. His teachers said to his parents, his parents were children, his two parents were children of hidden tzaddikim who passed away and people didn't even know who they were. They were orphans and they could not learn. Knowledge could not get into their blockheads. And their mother had great self-sacrifice. Remember, she was an orphan. She had her great desire in life was her children should learn Torah. Her father was a hidden tzaddik. Nobody knew. And she didn't have much education. And she wanted her children to have a good education. She wanted them to go not to Harvard. She wanted them to learn Torah. And she had great self-sacrifice on behalf of her children. And the story is told at length by the previous Rebbe in the memoirs. It's a very interesting story about how they periodically made breakthroughs that their minds, these two children, their minds opened up. There was a third child too, but he's not exactly part of this story. Their mind opened up. So Reb Zusha, he always considered himself a simple person. I told you about him. He used to translate everything into Yiddish when he davened and when he learned. Every word, it took him a long time. There's even a joke. I don't know if it's a joke, I'm sure it's based in reality, that he never heard Kriyas Torah. He never heard the Torah read. Why? Because when they would come to read the Torah in shul, so the reader would come to the line, and Hashem spoke to Moshe, saying, he would hear this. He took it very literally and seriously. Hashem, the great Hashem, the great beyond all understanding of him, spoke to Moshe Rabbeinu. And we have these words here. He gets so excited, he would start dancing and singing with excitement. And it disturbed the congregation. They couldn't go on with that. They had to sort of escort him out of shul till he calmed down. By the time he calmed down, came back in, the Torah reading was over. That's Reb Zusha. And there are a lot of stories about Reb Zusha. I told you one already the other day. and so I want you to get to know who he is. And the second approval is by page 9, by Rabbi Yehuda Leib HaKoyen. Okay. Tomorrow we're going to plunge into chapter 1. Quickly take Valeria. Today's Tuesday. Alex, Naomi, Shirley, right? Isa, Libby, Rivka, Sarah, Abby in the back. Hi, Abby. Shiva Casey, Mayan beside you, Shoshana in the corner, and Moriah. All attended and counted for. Thank you all for coming. Thank you very much, everybody. Chasima, Gemara Chasima Teva, all the blessings of Rosh Hashanah should be sealed for good, for you, for your brothers and sisters, your parents, your grandparents, all of our community, and all of the whole Jewish community. She should come and take us out of this bitter exile. The hostages are still alive, suffering. Says anybody doubts sages something worthwhile things that shepherd was worthwhile. Just think to yourself.
What?
Sharing.
Morning wasn't even. You can have something. Wow. It's muy fácil. Tiene lenguaje bastante. Porque yo puedo ver la
Good morning, good morning.